to be here. When she asked, I was just like, oh, really? Okay. So I am so honored to be here with you and just talk to you. And I love the title of this workshop, of this day, being positioned for success. And I'm already going off language, y'all. But here I want to position for success, whether you are just homeschooling your kids, if you are running a homeschool program, if you are supporting homeschools in any way, know that you are being positioned for success. So as she mentioned, you want to do the next one real quick? What about me? Yes, I am a compassionate cheerleading connector. That is who I am, that is my identity, and I bring it to everything that I do. I am a homeschool mom of 6. You see my babies? Yay! And I am the co-founder and director of Extend Homeschool Tutorial. And just recently, yay, started Kim Kent Enterprises. So that's who I am, that's what I do. You already heard from my bio, where we are outside of Washington, D.C. And I will tell you that our program is 95% Black and brown, and it has really been an honor and a privilege to be part of the solution to an educational system that is, and I'm gonna be real kind here, just inadequately meeting our families. I'm being kind? Yeah, okay, yeah. So I will also say this, I am an active listener and an active participant, and I love it when I have active listeners and active participants. It's not just me up here talking, but I need to kind of hear from you, and hopefully you're gonna get a lot out of this as we get along, okay? So, we're part of the solution, but you all here are part of the solution. And that's really why we're here, because each of you, in one way or another, have said no to the traditional educational system of education, and you are taking a stand. You have and continue to take a stand, and you're saying that you find and you know that there's something better there for your kids, there's something better there for your communities, there's something better there for your families. And so however it is that you're contributing to this educational movement, this homeschool movement, please know that what you're doing is incredibly extraordinary, it is tremendously courageous, and it is making a difference. So, we're here, and we're being positioned for success. And we really, one of the things that I hope that you all see, and I don't know how you can miss it, but we are in a very unique moment of being positioned for influence, okay? Between COVID and really, I want to say the aftermath of COVID. Yeah, there we go. She's ahead of me. Stay right there. Don't move. Stay right there. And then you think about what's happening in the school system with the rise, just the continuous rise of violence that's going on, and education really not happening in these traditional classrooms, right? And then you couple that with this seemingly meteoric rise in homeschooling, and especially among the Black and brown community. You can't look at that landscape and not recognize that you are being positioned for success. You absolutely are. And you're being positioned not just for success, I'm just saying regular, I'm talking about extraordinary success for your students, for the families that you serve, for your communities. And so in being positioned for success, I believe that there are things that we can do to partner with that, to partner with and cooperate with the positioning process. And that's really what I want to hone in on this morning for us. So we good with that? Yes. Okay? We're going to talk about some of the principles and strategies that I hope you can really grab a hold onto and employ, that will cause you, and again, about being active participants in this positioning process. So we're going to start from within, all right? And the reason we're going to start from within is because I have found that our activity, what we do, follows the things that we believe. And that really is an inside job, all right? And most often, the most powerful forces that will either move us forward or will hinder us come from within. And so that's where we start, all right? And so number one, you see the first point. And to me, I have to say, this is the most important point. When I was what am I supposed to be telling? What am I supposed to be saying here? The message that I kept getting over and over and over again was to help you understand this one important truth, and that is that you are enough. You are enough. As you're being positioned for success, you've got to know that. And I really want us to grab a hold of that. Because I believe in a room this size, if I ask us to be really, really honest about how many of us have struggled, and I'm talking about, listen, I'm talking to myself too, okay? How many of us have struggled with those feelings of inadequacy? Am I doing enough? Am I enough? You know, and sometimes that may have come from a well-meaning person, y'all know, right? Especially if you're starting out, you're homeschooling, really? Are you gonna be able to do that? Whatever, right? Whatever, right? But that time is gonna come, and we're gonna have those questions. There's gonna be, something inside that may be asking us, are we good enough? Is what we're doing enough? And sometimes those feelings and those questions, and I might step on some toes here, I'm so sorry, but they may manifest as a spirit of control and over-functioning. And we're doing that because deep inside, we're questioning whether or not we're enough, and are we meeting those needs? And we're feeling that we need to prove ourselves. I know, right? Okay, but, so here's the thing, y'all. I really try to tell it like it is. Because at the end of the day, when you come here and you spend the time and the energy to be here, I really think you need to leave here with something that's gonna work for you, okay? All right, so, if we're gonna cooperate with the positioning process, and I'm gonna go kind of a little hard here and call those thoughts what they really are. They are lies. They are lies. And in cooperating with the positioning process, it's time for us to take those lies and replace them with the truth. And the truth is that you are enough. Now, if we were in church, I would tell you, put your hand over your heart, you can do it if you want to, and close your eyes and say these words to yourself. I am enough. You are enough. And for some of you, this may be the first time that you've ever heard those words spoken about you and over you, right? But it's true. You are enough. And I'm actually going to take it up a notch and tell you that not only are you enough, you are actually more than enough. And here's how I know that statement was true, because at the end of the day, I can tell you that you're enough. You can say the words, oh, I am enough. But if you don't believe those words, then those are just empty words. So I'm going to give you some proof. Can I give you some proof about that? So that when you walk out of here, you go, you know what, I know that I'm enough. All right? So, first thing. I went and did some homework, y'all. United States is ranked 12th, and that's the lowest ranking ever by the International Institute of Management Development's World Competitive Center. Really? With those kind of numbers? When you say no to the traditional education, guess what? You're enough. Next one. And this is from the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. For students coming out of high school, the U.S. is ranked 33rd out of 44 advanced countries. Really? With that, guess what? You are enough. Next one. In science, the U.S. is ranked 12th out of 37 democracies with market-based economies. When you decide that I'm gonna go ahead and do that science experiment, maybe I might go to a tutorial and have them mold this up in their living room instead of mine, know that you're enough. Next one. In math, U.S. is ranked 28 out of 37 democracies with market-based economies. Guess what, y'all? You're enough. And so here's the thing, and this is what I love. I love that we have so many new homeschoolers that are coming into this thing, because look at this one blew me away. In early childhood education, the U.S. is ranked 35 out of 37 major economies. Are you kidding me? For our little kids, for our babies, when you say no, guess what? You are enough. Oh my goodness, let's keep going. In Baltimore, now I'm going to bring it a little bit closer to home, because I can see those statistics, and you go, yeah, but that, that's like all those countries or whatever. Listen, we're in Washington, we're in Maryland, right side of Washington, D.C., and outside of Baltimore. Baltimore City, this is zero proficiency, guys. I don't know how in the school system you get zero proficiency in math and English, but in Baltimore City, where we are, zero. And then I came, because I figured I'm coming to Birmingham, let's see what Birmingham's got, right? Birmingham's got like 19-to-1 ratio. We could talk all day about that, right? Okay, but 8% proficiency in math and 25 proficiency in reading, 1 in 4 kids. Y'all, guess what? You're enough. In fact, you are more than enough. All Birmingham? Yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah.
Our kids are doing just fine. All right? And you have a little attitude if you want to do that, right? Okay. All right, number 2, I love this. Listen, you cannot fail. I know you think I'm crazy, and that's okay. I'm okay if you think you're so crazy. But I want you to understand that you cannot fail. Second part, I think it's time for us to redefine failure and disappointment. All right? When I teach math classes, I tell my kids when they first come in, I'm like, listen, I cannot wait for you to make mistakes. They're like, what? I said, because do you understand that your mistake is an opportunity for you to learn? It's an opportunity for you to grow, right? And so then the other thing with this is I want to erase the word failure from our vocabulary. And the reason why is because most people, especially children, and let's be honest too, some adults too, will take that failure and turn it into an identity statement. You are not that experience. Our kids are absolutely not failures. They're learning. They're learning. And I'm gonna talk about this in a little while as I start talking a little bit more about these principles. Oh my goodness. But what we might see as failure and disappointment, ready for this, may be repositioning. What if that is actually you being positioned for what's coming up next? I want you to think about that. I really want you to think about that. And I want you to understand that nothing, absolutely nothing, is wasted. All right? So whatever that thing that we may define as failure or disappointment may be the very thing that takes you to the very next level. And in that economy, guess what? You can't fail. There is no failure there. No failure there. So we'll call it what it actually is. It's an opportunity to learn and grow and be positioned for success. That's what we're all here for. Positioned for success. All right, number 3. You are not alone. I love so much the story of Black Homeschoolers of Birmingham. I love that because it came first from a belief that you got the truth by yourselves, right? But I need you to understand, especially now, I hope you can look at this room and recognize that you are not alone. You are never alone. And I will tell you that is a lie that tries to tell us that we're alone, that we're all by ourselves. Y'all, you are never, ever, ever alone. And I love how both of you just said, we don't see it, so we're going to create it. Very quick story. I was at the Homeschool Your Kids event in Ohio, and there were 4 ladies, didn't know each other, but all of them were like, we don't see us, we don't know where, we can't find us, we feel like we're all alone. I was like, oh no, you're not alone. And so the Compassion Chili connector me, right, when it introduced them. And so what was so exciting and so just wonderful to see was the fruit of that, because they did the same thing. They started a Facebook group. Now they have this thing they call themselves the Melanin Homeschool. No, they call themselves Melanin Homeschoolers United of Ohio. And I cannot wait next year to go to Ohio and see how they have grown. And they're doing the same things, having playdates, and recognizing that they are not alone. So listen, when you may hear that voice, I'm in here all by myself. No, you're not. Because listen, you can reach out to anybody in this room. You can reach out, phone call, reach out to them on Instagram, whatever, and you can find your community. And I will also say that you can't find it, trust me, you can make it, but I'm telling you, right here in this room is your community. There's no reason for you to be by yourself, all right? All right, so now, let's talk about some principles. Oh, let me talk about the you are not alone. Okay, that's recognizing and harnessing the power of community. There's so much power in community. There is power in numbers, there is strength in numbers, and there's strength in knowing that you are not alone in this. All right, so we're gonna talk about some principles. Stay right there, as you're being positioned for success. So all these principles, I'm gonna wrap them around the story of my son Joshua. Joshua is the second born of 6. He is my firstborn boy, and I will tell you that he is on the spectrum. He has very high functioning autism. And so that came with a couple of challenges when he was growing up. I will say this, that with him is what I learned about kinesthetic learners, right? Because just like in that video that we saw, in my son, same thing. My son was really active, he was always moving around. And I remember I was sitting on the floor and we were doing mystery of history, and I was getting frustrated, and I was like, Joshua, what did I just say? And that boy rattled off everything that I said. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. So clearly, you're just a person in motion. But think about what would have happened if he were in a traditional educational setting, right? He would have gotten a label, They tried to put some medicine in him, and I'm not against medicine, trust me, right? But that's not what he needed. He needed to have somebody that was going to deliver education to him in a way that met him where he was. Yes. Right? And that's what we do when we homeschool. Now I know, right? That's it. So here's the thing, so with Joshua, after he graduated high school, right? He's like, okay, I don't really know what I want to, and that boy is just I can't read him. I don't know if that's a male thing or whatever, but then you put the male plus the awesome thing, I just couldn't read him. So that summer, I had to take my daughter to an open house for the Art Institute of Washington, which was down in like North Virginia. And literally at the last minute, I said, Josh, I need you to get up and get dressed because you're coming with us. You know, so listen, he was voluntold. You know how we do that to our kids, right? And so he got up, got dressed, and did his thing. So really, that's the first thing. In that one instant, he demonstrated, because I'm gonna tell you, this story is ridiculous. Y'all, when y'all get to hear this story, you'll be like, what? Okay, but here's the thing, as you're being positioned for success, you gotta be open. You gotta be available and ready for the suddenly, I call them suddenly moments, the suddenlies that come. Because they're going to come, right? But I'm gonna tell you, if you're being positioned, in your process of being positioned for success, be ready for them. Be available to them, be ready to go with the flow with them. And that's what he did. All right, so he goes with us. We go to this open house event, and at the end of the open house event, the guy says, "Okay, so if you want to like look at our school and apply for our school, we got this room next door, computer set up, blah 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 blah." Listen, that entire time I'm getting nothing from Joshua. And I tell you, zero from him. And I was like, and I just looked over him and said, "So you want to apply?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." So he goes next door to this room, fills it out, and that's the second thing. Be willing to take a step of faith and try. He didn't have to, he could have just said, yeah, whatever, Mom, you kind of dragged me to this thing or whatever. But instead, in being positioned for success, he took a step of faith and went ahead and did that thing. Now, I will tell you that he filled that thing out, did the whole application, essay and all, in that one setting. And then got accepted, right? And we're sitting with the admissions counselor, and just hold on for 1 second, the third one. And sitting with the admissions counselor, and my Josh, in his very typical way, because the guy was like, most people when they take this, when they do the application, they usually go home with the essay, and they'll work, y'all know, right? They'll work for a couple of weeks and have people look at it and edit it and blah, 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 blah. He said, but you just kind of sat there, I watched you just kind of sat there and filled the whole thing out at once. My son, he said, he's so funny, he's like, well, after 7 years of Shirley English and excellence in writing, what do you expect? I just drew you that's pressure writing. I was like, well, so that's the next one. And so as you're being positioned for success, look at what he did. He identified and accessed his experiences and your knowledge base and leveraged them, right, towards your vision, whatever that vision is. If you're a homeschooler and I got the science thing down, you're going to access and leverage that so that you give your kids the best science experience that they can have as homeschoolers, right? So, but that's what he did. He got positioned, he took a leap of faith, and then he accessed his experiences and his knowledge base, and he blew them away, all right? So here's the thing. He gets accepted when all is said and done, right? And we looked at, the money he got scholarships for, he was a great student, he got academic scholarships there. When all was said and done, it was gonna cost us about $150 a month for him to go. Praise God, right? That's what I'm saying. So he starts getting really, really excited about, listen, mind you, my kid, there's like, you can't read him for anything. I saw he started to get really excited about going to Art Institute of Washington. And he was like, okay, so this is gonna be my commute, and da-da-da-da. It was great. So we walk in, it is July 5th, because remember it was the 4th of July. We walk in for orientation, we walk into the school, and there's a couple people there. We see the receptionist, and the receptionist looks at us, and she says, did you not get that email? And I'm like, what email? And she says, oh, the school is closing. Come on, next slide. Yeah, that's what I thought. And in that moment, literally, y'all, what came out of my mouth was, Joshua, it's gonna be okay. When one door closes, and he finished the sentence, I know, Mom, another one opens. I will tell you that I said that just as much for me as I did for him. But let me tell you what that is. As you're being positioned for success, success. Surround yourself with people who are going to speak life into you and are going to encourage you, especially through times of disappointment. You absolutely, listen, when homeschooling starts getting hard, because I'm going to tell you at some point it's going to get hard, right? But you've got to surround yourself with people who are going to speak life into you, speak encouragement. Yes, you can do this. That's really, I love it. That's really why you want to be a part of Black Homeschoolers of Birmingham, because you're going to need that community. You're going to need that village. All right? So that was the fourth one. And I will tell you this: in that moment when he heard those words, that could have been it for Joshua, right? He could have said, "I'm done. Which did go to school, I'm done." But he didn't. It's the next point. What he did, and I believe that was part of him being able to, I know he finished that sentence. He may have finished that sentence we out of rote. And part of that, I'm gonna do a little quick sidebar, is because he had heard me say it enough. And he watched me walk it out. You know, your kids aren't so much looking at what you say, but they're looking at who you are and how you live, right? But he saw me live that out. And so that's when he was able to finish that sentence. I know when one door closes, another one opens, Mom. But at some point, he owned that. And for him, it became an ability to exercise a level of faith and flexibility in the face of challenges. As you're being positioned for success, you are going to have to exercise that level of faith, that little seed, that mustard seed of faith, and be flexible, right, in the face of challenges. All right? And now, here's what happened. Y'all gonna love this. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for heaven? So a week later, he gets a phone call from the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. And listen, and let me just tell you, this is why I want to smack that point. He didn't tell me until 2 days later. Really? Are you kidding me? I'm sitting here dying inside, going, well, how are you gonna work this thing out, right? And you tell me 2 days later that you got a phone call from the University of Pittsburgh, from Art Institute of Pittsburgh? But what they said to him was, listen, because of what happened at the Art Institute of Washington, all of the students that were affected by that are getting 50% off of their tuition. Yes, and look, and not just for 1 year, but for all 4 years. So look, that detour, this is why I really want y'all to start getting excited when stuff happens. Because here's the thing, you need to be okay with detours. Why? Because those detours can take you to your destiny. Those detours can take you to your destiny. Listen, at the end of the day, my son ended up going, and that's a whole other story, how he ended up down, instead of Pittsburgh, he went down to the Art Institute of Virginia Beach. And listen, remember I told you before, it was gonna cost us $150, right, per month. When all was said and done, because of that discount and everything, that boy, not only is that boy got a stipend. They paid him to go to school. Yes. So again, I tell folks, don't be scared of those detours. Don't fear them, because you never know if that detour, because that's what happened with Joshua. That detour, that disappointment, was a springboard to his destiny down at Virginia Beach. And I will also say this: he would have never left home, because he was going to be commuting. Remember, he was going to commute into Washington. He would have never left home had it not been for that detour. And when he went down to Virginia Beach, can I tell you the level of growth and maturity and development that he absolutely never would have seen but for that. What looked like a disappointment was taking him to his destiny. It was taking him to his destiny. Homeschool journey, I have what I call the lost year. You're gonna have, I'm being real with you, you're gonna have those times where, you think we had a year that it was just like, I was barely keeping it together, right? And that's what we did on tutorials, praise God. But nothing is wasted. And at the end of the day, your kids are gonna be okay. Those kids that I thought I had a wasted year with ended up going on to the colleges of their dreams with money. So anybody who tells you, I'm also a homeschool mythbuster. Those people that come and go, well, they're probably not gonna get to college. Yes, they will. Yeah. Are you gonna be able to afford it? I don't need to, because they're gonna go with scholarships. Hello. All right? All of that is possible when you homeschool your kids. All of that. And your kids will not only be able to compete, they'll be able to excel. They're gonna exceed their peers. Y'all saw the statistics, right? Y'all remember that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. All right? So there's that. Number 2, you gotta live a life of gratitude, humility, and service. That is so much. As you're being positioned for success, be grateful for everything that comes your way. I think it's so important. Sometimes we kind of get in our heads, we get in our space, and we think that we did it. Please. My kids say, oh yeah, you're going to talk about an attitude of gratitude. I'm like, yeah, an attitude of gratitude. I know it sounds trite, it sounds thick, but you're being grateful will open doors. I tell my kids, if you are grateful, it will open so many more doors for you. If you are humble, and in humility, I'm going to say this too, when I talked about surrounding yourself with people who are going to encourage you and empower you, I'm also going to say that as you're being positioned for success, don't be afraid to surround yourself with people who, and I'm going to tell you, you need to surround yourself with people who are going to challenge you, and sometimes may hurt your feelings. Listen, I love Nicole Green. Y'all know I love Nicole Green. Nicole Green, I will tell you, keeps me centered. There are times Nicole Green has said to come and say, Kim, you okay with that? And I love, she said, and I'm going to let you sit in that.
Sounds like her.
And but you know what? She loves me enough. She loves me enough and is invested enough in seeing me succeed. There's no competition here, right? We're in cooperation, we're in community, we're in fellowship with one another. She loves me enough to tell me the stuff that may hurt my feelings because she knows it's going to take me to the next level. You've got to surround yourself with those kind of people who love you enough to tell you the stuff that you're not going to be wanting to hear. And you have to be a humble enough person to receive it. I can tell you, I know some folk, y'all know these people too. Y'all know some folk that you can't tell them stuff. You can, and you're saying like, oh my goodness. But you, because there's so much pride there that they're not going to receive it. And I will tell you that pride is hindering them from moving to the next level. Don't let that be you. Do not let that be you. All right? All right, and then here, seek to impact others for good. Listen, bunches of followers are great. Being in their success is great, right? But if you set as your goal to impact others and to change your community and to be a force for good, then all of that other stuff, I know it, all of that other stuff will follow. Seek first the good of others. Seek first to serve other people. And then all that other stuff is going to be added to you, okay? Yeah, y'all know where I'm going with that one. Okay. And so here's my little bonus section because I know I'm trying to stay on target. Remain true to your identity. I do a whole other thing. Remember I told you I was a compassionate, truly connector? I learned who I was from who created me. I do a whole other thing on knowing your identity, but it is so important as you're being a position for success that you know who you are and you stay true to who you are. Don't let other people put a label on you. All right? You are fearfully and wonderfully, you are created for purpose and for destiny, and you were created for something unique, and walk in it. And that's where I tell folks, don't go comparing yourself, because you're not your neighbor. You're not the people that are across. Even if you're doing a homeschool program, you're not that other program that's across the street, and that's what you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to do what you're called to do, walking in your identity, right? So there's so much, I could go forever on that one, but there you go. Again, I just told you about that one. Surround yourself with people who aren't afraid to check you. Have your checkers. They are life to you. Even when they don't feel like it, they're life to you. And then I love how you said, remember to breathe. I do a whole thing on avoiding stress. And the first thing I teach people how to do is how to breathe. But you do have to breathe. And you just have to take a minute and go, okay, it's gonna be all right. Because it is gonna be all right. Your kids are not just gonna be all right, they're gonna be phenomenal. Phenomenal. Why? Because you remember that what's the first thing? You are enough. And you say, I am enough. Yes, you absolutely are enough. Number two, if you get nothing out of this, if you get nothing out of what I said in the last how many minutes, remember that you're enough. Remember that, say, I cannot fail. You cannot fail. Number three. And remember, say, I'm not alone. You are not alone. And I'm going to give you two more that I was like, I'm going to just toss them to, they're not on the slides. They're a little extra. I'm going to give those to you free of charge, right? You are not powerless. You are powerful people. Listen, the fact that you said no, and I can do better for my kids, that is power. Yes. You are powerful. Anytime anybody says, oh, you really can't. No, you are powerful. You are not powerless in any situation. situation, you have the power within to do this. And then last but not least, you have purpose. And that purpose matters. What you're doing, if it's homeschooling your kids, if it's running a homeschool program, if it's running a homeschool support group, whatever you're doing, you have purpose, and what you do matters. And what you do, and I say this often, I don't care if your program is serving like 2 or 3 students. What if in that little group you got the next medical genius? What if in that, right? What if in that group you got the next tech genius? What if in that group you got the next Nobel Prize winner? What you do matters. So I'm going to encourage you to keep going. And I know sometimes some families be like, okay, I can only do like 8th grade, but when I get to high school, it's a whole other thing. I'm going to encourage you to go see no worrying. You can do this through high school. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. And don't let anybody tell you that your kids are going to suffer. What are they going to suffer from? They're going to suffer from not being bullied? They're going to suffer from not being told that they can't in a system that tells them that they can't every day? Y'all know I can go there, right? But your kids will not suffer. And the reality is if you're in community, they don't need to miss anything. They don't need to miss graduations. They don't need to miss prom. You know why? Because y'all can put together a prom like, look at this room. Y'all can do it yourselves. And you did. And you did. They don't need to miss out on anything, any of the good stuff. You want them to miss out on the bad stuff. But they don't need to miss out on anything going all the way through high school and beyond. All right? So, with that, I'm sure I'm out of time. But I do want to leave you with this. Your story continues to be written as you're positioning. You are never done. You are never not being positioned. I like to say that you really are being positioned to go from glory to glory. That is so true. That's my son Joshua. He's now over at the Museum of the Bible. When I tell you that one, that's a whole other story about being positioned and being persistent and going after it and believing. We don't have time for that. Okay? But what I do want you to know is that your story continues. And it's going to be a fabulous story for you, for your kids, for your families, for your communities. I believe also for the world. Because the things that you're doing is you're creating a generation of world changers. I firmly believe that. So again, know that you